predicting every Dutton fate at the end of Yellowstone. As the end of Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 approaches, predictions can be made about where every Dutton will end up at the series' conclusion. While it hasn't been confirmed that Yellowstone's current installment is the end of the line, the Yellowstone Season 5 characters will all be in a drastically different spot in their lives when the season wraps up. The season is off to a colossal start, with the Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 premiere garnering over 16 million viewers. As the Yellowstone Season 5 story continues to progress, you might be wondering where Beth, Kelly Riley, Rip Kohlhauser, and Case, Luke Grimes, will end up, and there is some foreshadowing about what will happen next. Still, anything is indeed possible in Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western universe, with the only certainty being that monumental moments will occur between now and the finale. Beth and Jamie are in an all-out war, and one will likely rise victorious with the rights to the Yellowstone. Whatever happens to Beth after Yellowstone Season 5, it's clear that her husband will be by her side. The pair tied the knot unexpectedly in the Yellowstone Season 4 finale and have been rolling with the punches together ever since. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10, The Apocalypse of Change, laid out a lovely ending for Rip and Beth, wherein the pair could migrate to Texas. They enjoy a lovely night together at a hotel in Amarillo, and Beth and Rip find themselves at home in cowboy country. That said, after John Dutton IE's death in Yellowstone Season 5, it doesn't look like the pair will go anywhere fast. Beth and Rip discuss how they're shackled to the ranch in Episode 10, and the following events make that more true than ever. Despite Beth's resentment of the ranch and the danger that follows her family protecting it, Beth knows the ranch is her home, and we're predicting she stays there with Rip to continue whatever the next chapter of Yellowstone looks like as a leading character. At the end of Yellowstone Season 5, Rip will be at the Yellowstone. After a brutal but successful fight for the land, Rip will hopefully continue to maintain the Dutton legacy as part of the sixth generation of Duttons and spouses protecting it. One of the mounting questions of the Yellowstone Season 5 story is whether Rip or Case will be officially running the Yellowstone Ranch at the end of Season 5, and the answer is there's no clear answer yet, as Rip tells Lloyd in Episode 10. Rip and Case could run the ranch together, as there's plenty of work to be done. An alliance between the two can serve the ranch regardless of who is at its helm. If Case manages the land and cattle, Rip can support him. If Case wants to take a backseat and focus on his family, he can still assist Rip, leaving the legacy open for Tate. Regardless of his status, it's hard to imagine midway through Season 5 that Rip would leave the ranch or Montana. While Case's fate is uncertain, he's set to take over the ranch as the only surviving biological son of John Dutton II. Still, Case has struggled with his fate throughout Yellowstone since serving as a Navy SEAL, unsure of where he should be. The father needs to protect his family, and Case experiences visions in Yellowstone Season 4 and spiritual experiences, with a wolf that guide his path forward. Still, he's typically had one foot out the door when managing the ranch, and Case's hesitation to take over makes his Yellowstone fate uncertain. Ultimately, Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10, shows that Tate decides what's next for his father. Case tells his son that he will protect the ranch so Tate can take over, making it Case's next potential job. Still, Case will have to fight for the ranch first, and there's no certainty there will be a ranch to run at the end of Season 5. Still, if Case inherits and runs his family's legacy, the land will be returned to the area's native people via Monica and Tate. Whatever happens in Yellowstone Season 5, Monica and Case's drama is seemingly behind them, and she will be with Case and Tate wherever the family decides to settle. Whether the family can keep the ranch or not, they have settled in an old house on the property, and it looks like they're staying there. if they sell the ranch or Case decides not to run it. Case's family could still negotiate their house and piece of land out of whatever deal was on the table. While Monica has a brief career arc as a teacher at Hartstrong Middle School and Montana State University, the character hasn't had any strong storylines outside the drama unraveling within her family. In Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1, Monica and Case lose their second child, Joan Dutton IV, after the baby dies of injuries sustained in a car accident on Monica's way to the hospital. Still, despite their tragedy, the parents have suggested they will try again to have a baby, so Monica could get pregnant before Season 5 ends. By the end of Season 5, Tate will decide whether he wants to run the ranch. Whether Case continues to fight for the ranch is hinged on Tate's desires in Episode 10, with Tate's father clarifying that his son is free to act upon whatever future he chooses. Still, after reflecting on time spent with his grandfather at the ranch, memorably spending the summers at cowboy camp, Tate will likely realize the significance of his inheritance and rise to that. If Tate does choose to run the ranch, it doesn't mean he can. The fate of the ranch is still uncertain after John Dutton's death, and the ranch may not stay in the family long enough for his grandson to inherit it. All things considered, though, all the perils of Yellowstone Season 5, the seasons preceding it, and the events in 1883 and 1924, it makes sense that the Duttons will prevail. With that in mind, we're hoping Tate is gearing up to run the Yellowstone, and he has an adoptive brother to help. Rip clarifies in The Apocalypse of Change that Carter always has a home at the ranch, so that's where he will be at the end of Yellowstone Season 5. Like Rip, Carter is a fixture of the ranch, destined to work its land for decades. Carter joins the Dutton family tree because he gravitates toward Beth after losing his father, leaving him an orphan. Beth takes Carter under her wing, and despite Yellowstone Season 5 changing Carter's story, that's where he will stay. The one hiccup to Carter staying at the ranch would be if somehow the Duttons can't or decide not to hold on to the land. Still, after losing their father, the remaining Duttons will likely double their efforts to save it. If the ranch does switch hands, or if Beth and Rip move to some other state, Carter's fate is less stable. Carter will likely follow his adoptive parents if the ranch ceases to exist. However, if Beth and Rip leave the ranch while it's still in operation, Carter will stay, as the ranch is the biggest constant in the young man's life. Things are not looking up for Jamie as Yellowstone Season 5 comes to a head. Beth promises that she will kill her brother, and the younger sister typically follows through with her threats to Jamie. Every chapter of Yellowstone has proven that Beth and the people closest to her, Rip and now Case, can end a life. Moreover, the Duttons have killed for much less than the fall of their patriarch. As such, it's unlikely Jamie will survive Season 5. Beyond Beth's convincing promise to kill her brother, Jamie has no promising storylines that can continue after Season 5. The installment focuses solely on Jamie's demise, signifying it's the end of the line. The mother of Jamie's child and son hasn't been seen since Yellowstone Season 4, and the only person who is Team Jamie in Beth and Jamie's war is Sarah Atwood, Dawn Olivieri. Yellowstone has had many shocking deaths during its run, and Jamie's will top the charts if he doesn't find a way to save himself. We know that John Dutton II is dead after the shocking Season 5, Part 2 premiere, but his death in Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone universe is disputed. Beth and Case witnessed the scene of their father's suicide at the Montana governor's mansion. Still, Beth isn't convinced that her father would end his life that way, considering how hard he's fought to protect himself, his family, and his legacy. Midway through Yellowstone Season 5, Beth's theory about Jamie and an accomplice killing their father is just a theory. While Case is investigating that theory, some of the people closest to John, Like his grandchildren, Tate and Carter are taking his death the hardest. Carter feels like John Dutton quit him, and Tate struggles to process his grandfather's passing because of the way he allegedly died. If they can find their father's killer, Beth and Case can potentially set the record straight about his death, clarifying what happened to John Dutton in Yellowstone.